Welcome to the Bumpaholics Podcast. The Bumpaholics Podcast serves our community by providing education on fertility, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, lactation, and parenthood. The overall mission is to support expecting parents so they can be more well-rounded and empowered to make informed parental decisions in their journey through parenthood. Welcome to the Round Table with Bumpaholics, where we talk about the tools for your leadership team, our story, and KCWM. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about the personalities of the leadership team and how they work together. We use the predictive index in order to demonstrate how well-rounded our team is and to give us some ideas on how our team can really work together better. I'm Brittany. I am the production and marketing director.
I'm Jen. I'm executive director.
I'm Madison. I am the Director of Birth Doula Operations.
I'm Jamie. I'm the Technology Director.
I'm Cindy. I'm Director of Administration.
And I'm Kristen, and I am the Postpartum and Education Director.
Well, thank you guys for all coming together and doing this podcast today. Yeah. This is so fun, and the predictive index has really given us some great information on what our personalities are like. Should we start by saying what the predictive index gave us?
Absolutely.
All right. So it told me I am a guardian.
Ooh. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I think something really neat about this predictive index is that we've known for a long time that somehow, synchronistically, this team has been perfectly constructed. We didn't put out advertisement for we need this set of skills, but as we've needed technology, Jamie's been here from day one. As we've needed administration, Cindy's come along. As we've needed these different skill sets with birth and postpartum and marketing, all of these team members have been added to us. And this predictive index showed us that we really do have one of every skill set, one of every gift, one of everything that we need in this team to move our mission forward. And we were all drawn together for a shared mission, but with totally different skill sets. So it's so fun for us to see how we come together, and we think that this PI would be an amazing tool for your organization or your leadership team as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it was so fast. I mean, I think it took me tops 20, 30 seconds.
You just click some boxes, and that sounds like, oh, that won't be accurate. But I read through all the personality types, and I was like, no, mine is truly mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was so cool.
It's very accurate. It's very accurate. Maybe one or two things here and there that aren't really 100% true of, our personalities, but
especially the blind spots. Those are definitely not true.
No, not at all.
What's really been funny to me is, when I read through my personal thing, I'm like, this isn't me. I don't know about that. And then, but when everybody else in the leadership team read through it, they were like, oh, that is definitely, it's spot on. And that's how I've been with all of yours, is when I read through, I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely Madison. That's absolutely how she is. And it's helped how I communicate with each of you. Mm-hmm. It's helped how I approach things. And when we are working on projects, it makes it a lot easier for me to look at this and say, oh, that's why they're reacting the way they are. That's how I need to kind of adjust my communication style.
Mm-hmm. Very HR. Good job.
You're managing your role well.
Yes.
I wonder where that comes from.
We're going to find out.
I don't know. So, Kristen, do you want to read yours first?
Oh, sure. I am a venturer, which means that I am assertive, analytical, driving, and goal-oriented.
You never.
What?
When Kristen came on this team, I was like, we're about to get stuff done. These committees, these projects are about to be moving forward with urgency and force.
And assertiveness?
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah. What was the part about the frankness?
So it actually says in my description that I cannot stand fluff. I am very anti-fluff. And it was really funny because Jamie is the same way, and she and I have definitely bonded over our extreme frankness. It's actually one of my blind spots on this, maybe overly frank. which is kind of a problem as a doula, but I just find the clients that like a frank doula.
Yes.
Beating around the bush is not my expertise. And neither is Jamie's. And so when we like get on a thing together and we can just communicate with each other exactly how it is and nobody gets upset about it, it's so nice.
I appreciate sometimes we'll go round and round in a dialogue and then Kristen will be like, main point, enter here. And it's very helpful.
Thank you.
It leads to shorter meeting times.
So much shorter if you don't have to preface with, you know, the fluff. You just cut it out and say, this is how it is, this is what our problem is, this is the only way I can think of to solve it. And everyone goes, okay.
So you need a venture on your team.
So you need a venture on your team.
Definitely.
And
Cindy?
whatever Jamie is.
Analyzer.
There we go.
Analyzer. Yeah.
Yes, mine says analyzers are sticklers for details and will gather all the relevant facts before making a decision.
True.
The only thing more important for them than being heard is making sure they're right.
Well, I can think of, that is so true because Jamie is probably the last one to speak in a meeting, but she will let everyone run about and say everything they need to say, and then she'll be like, in her wise nature, you might want to think about this. And by the way, I am 100% right. And she'll say like 2 sentences for everyone's 50 sentences, but those 2 sentences are extremely to the point, concrete, and accurate.
And she gets this look on her face when she's telling you that too, and you can tell as
With
she's
her hands,
gathering
what
the
she's
facts.
doing right
She's
now.
like,
Which
"Oh,
y'all
me?"
can't see her, but she holds her hands in a very specific
she
way
knows
when she's
she's
about
right.
to lay it down, and that you've been talking about it, and she knows, and she's about to let you know too. She has a very specific thing she does with her hands, and we all just okay. We're getting
Now I
time to
can't
listen.
do that anymore.
No,
You just said it.
but it's so helpful for us because we're like, okay, we're about to get the truth hit upside our head. Like,
Jamie's about to lay
It's
it
Jamie's
down.
poker tell.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's her
if you have
poker
an
tell.
analyzer
them.
on your team, you'll notice by their quick, witty, accurate sentences and the way they hold their hands.
Yeah,
Body language is a really big deal.
it is. It is.
What else does yours say?
What's your blind spot?
My blind spots, perfectionist with high standards.
Yeah,
That's not a blind spot. That's a good thing.
that can definitely
It
be a blind
depends on
spot.
who you ask.
It's good to be so highly focused, but at the same time, you could potentially never get anything done if it's not to your perfect standards, your perfection standards.
Right, which is why we
Which is
also
why it's a
have an
blind
individualist.
So I am the individualist. I am self-confident, analytical, driving change, and methodical. Individualists march to the beat of their own drum and are always up for a challenge. They're confident, analytical, and persistent, strong-minded people who quickly turn ideas into reality. Hungry to solve problems and move forward, they dislike being bogged down with the details. Y'all, I hate details. I hate them.
Yep, as I was writing the outline for our podcast tonight, she's sitting here going, just glaring, death glare at me.
Can't we just talk, y'all? No, can't we just talk? Do we need a script?
like, let's just go.
Yeah, we need at least an outline of a script. Not necessarily a full-blown script, no, but something to help guide us, because there are 6 of us.
I tend to appear stubborn and opinionated, so.
No.
No.
Any of you have ever noticed that about me, but
Whoa.
I'm not gonna lie, I think all
Too
of us
far.
can be stubborn and opinionated.
probably.
That's why we're in leadership roles.
That's why
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
draws us to leadership.
It's like we couldn't just be part of an organization. We had to drive it.
Right.
Yeah, we had to overhaul this thing.
And all of us became leaders almost immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all kind of on our own grounds too. Yeah, by our own aggressiveness almost, that it wasn't like there was an established leadership that they were kind of like, here, Kristen, I'm going to bring you into the fold. It was kind of like Kristen just went, boom, okay, I'm in leadership now.
I know I did.
Brittany did that.
interest
We all,
to
I
leadership.
mean,
I was invited. Jen did invite me.
That
but
is
yeah,
true.
I
You were
wasn't.
probably the only one in
You were
leadership
scouted.
that...
I was scouted.
I wasn't
We
invited.
were sitting at a meeting and Jen goes, so do you want to just like join leadership? Like, you could just, it was, do you need leadership? And she was like, yeah, always. Okay.
You
Sounds
were
fun.
scouted.
Probably the only one of us. The rest of us kind of were just like, all right, I guess we're the head of this thing now.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're just going.
What are you, Madison?
I am an altruist, so I'm collaborative, social, organized, precise. Altruists get their sense of satisfaction from being supportive. They seek harmony and are usually the first to offer a helping hand to a colleague in need. It's usually helpful because altruists are detail-oriented and precise in their work, and their follow-up is strong.
I can always count on you to follow up on something.
Yeah. I'm also always the one that I'm like, I know this isn't my department, but if you need help, I'm here. And it also makes sense why I kind of head the birth department, where I'm like, that's literally what we do, is we help people, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Yes.
What are your blind spots?
You support the supporters.
Goodness. I feel like my blind spots kind of contradict themselves. Because this one says I'm often overly cautious, but then this one says I can appear overly trusting. So I'm both cautious
But I
and
can
trusting.
see both of those in you.
And I absolutely can as well. It also says I'm slower to make decisions that impact others, and frustrated by stagnation. So I like things to move forward, but I also like to go slowly. But I'm also very cautious about moving forward, but I really
Which is
trust
why you
the
go
people
slow.
we're going forward with. Yes. So it's,
But that's you.
That's you.
I feel like it's very accurate. I constantly have an internal battle of like...
You are your own team. You have all of the different aspects of
And
the
then-
team within your own self.
And one of the things when I was watching the video, because the video goes into even more depth than just these points, the video said that I really like making and being on teams. And it feels very accurate.
That's literally your job.
That you wrote the description based on you.
Yes, so I not only have like an internal team, like I am the team, but I also was one of the ones that really cultivated and made our team dynamic in the birth program. Like that was, Jen put the seed out there that like, hey, I want more than one doula on for a client. And I was like, okay, this is how it's going to be, and we're going to have teams, and this is why, and that's like the foundation of our organization.
Right.
So when it popped up, it's like, you really like teams. I was like, yeah, I do.
Apparently, I make them all the time.
Right? Like, that's literally what I do.
Which I struggle with the team aspect at times. Not with the team aspect of leadership, but with the doula team aspect.
Yeah.
Tell us about your role.
Okay, so I don't know that my role necessarily goes through why I struggle with that particular aspect, but
Maybe it does.
I am a guardian. It says I am helpful, steady, diligent, and detail-oriented. Guardians are usually unselfish and approachable, with a focus on work that requires skill and great attention to detail. They're thoughtful, steady, and reliable. Things don't accidentally fall through the cracks in the guardian's world.
Nope.
They like structure and precision and tend to be perfectionists.
Well, that right there makes sense why you don't like teams. You
I
like
struggle.
structure, and you're a perfectionist, and
You
precision.
work alone.
You work alone.
You work
I
very
do.
well alone, though.
I do,
You're
but
very productive.
I'm still very team-oriented, I feel
You are.
like.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm helpful, but I just struggle with that team aspect. I struggle with letting go of the client, of saying this client's no longer my client, it's our client.
Well, teams are
If you
dynamic
read
and always
your
changing.
My blind spot.
your blind spots, there's one in there that addresses that.
So, one blind spot, may avoid conflict. We know that one. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a big one.
Your face will not get red in the seat of conflict. It does get red.
Oh, yeah, I get it. I don't like conflict. Can be sensitive to criticism. May struggle with ambiguity.
Ambiguity.
Ambiguity. Okay, I'm like, I didn't say that right. Resistance to change without clarity. Yeah, I need clarity before things change.
Like in a
Yeah, it's
birth
really
doula
great
team.
whenever you're on a birth doula team with Brittany, because you can feel how much she wants you to not be the one that gets called in. And she's like, anytime that you want to just like take off on call, I'll totally do that for you.
Well, it gives her
Or,
structure
like,
that way.
if
too.
you
She
get-
know.
So Brittany and I have been on quite a few teams together. And so she'll take day on shift and I take night on shift. And so if somebody goes into labor at night, she will, without fail, call me and say, aren't you tired? Do you want me to go in? Brittany, are you sure?
Are you
I
sure.
can go right now. I'm up. I'm ready to go.
And Dr. Marty in the car on the way there, bye!
Thanks for letting me go. She will literally say, "Aren't you tired?"
I'll be like, come on, have the baby, don't kill me, bye, I was there.
Are you sure you're awake? I could have sworn. I thought I woke you up.
Yes, exactly.
I struggle so hard with it. It's so hard.
It's that structure that you like so much.
And then I'm over here like, Brittany, you have to let go. Like you're on a team. There's 3 other people for a reason. Use them. Take the day. Get a nap.
I can't just
like,
take the day.
No,
Like, I have a client. I am always on call. I'm always prepared to go. I'm always ready to go support this client. So for me to say, okay, I'm not on call between this time and this time, it freaks me out. I have a hard time with it.
Because you like your structure and your...
As
Well,
your fellow
I-
team member, I know.
I know
I
you
am
do.
aware.
Well, I
We've
take
done
it in.
several births together
I know.
at this point.
I know. And I get so sad I don't get to go. One of my clients just went into labor, and I'm like, you went into labor at the time that I was on call, but by the time you went to the hospital, I wasn't on call anymore, and
Oh, man.
I didn't get to go, and I'm like,
Now that hurts for anyone and everyone.
hurts.
When we're in this team dynamic,
and you're
and
supporting,
you're
and-
so close to that on-call period ending, and you're like, just need me before it ends, and then it ends and someone else has to go. It's really just disappointing for anyone. Like, it just, I mean, you get invested. You want to go to the birth, and
That's
then
why it's so hard.
you're like 20 minutes late.
I know. I know.
We
That's
are
why
on
it's
a
so hard
time
for me.
schedule here. You couldn't have called me 20
Jamie
minutes
would bring up
earlier.
the data. Like, when are we gonna get there?
Jamie starts making a way to analyze when people are more likely to go into birth based on our call system.
She's gonna have an app
and
for
starts
us.
doing
That's
on-call
an
only
analyzer.
during those times.
Yeah.
The most weird on-call times where like you want to be on call in the morning and the evening but not afternoon.
Yeah, that's when the clients are most likely to go into labor. Between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m., so I want that call space, and then between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. Or just 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. would be good. And then 2 a.m. to yeah. all day. Let's take all day. I'll take the entire 24-hour period.
So Jen, what is yours?
I feel like, so my role is the promoter, and I feel like it ties in a little bit. I may not be like all of the team, but I kind of rally everyone up and then get everyone hyped and promote them. So
That you
collaborative,
That is what you do.
outgoing, patient, flexible. The promoter is hard not to like, extroverted, harmonious, supportive, and encouraging. I'm your hype girl. They're a valued member of any team. Promoters are charismatic, flexible, persuasive, and highly diplomatic. Whenever there is a, I would say, heightened online or messaging or phone call conversation that needs to happen, it's happily punted my way. I don't have a background in politics, but you probably wouldn't believe that. They love being with, talking to, and getting to know others. I just like hearing people's stories. Like, tell me about your life. Like, that's all I want to do all day. My blind spots, it says limited attention to detail, but I would like to argue I just don't care about the stuff I don't care about. Can be overly talkative, you just don't listen enough. A negative response to pressure, don't put me in a box. May appear superficial, the house may be on fire, but at least it's warm in here. So I wouldn't call them blind spots,
You're just positive.
yeah.
It's positive.
Optimistic to a fault.
Madison's dying.
Okay, so I had heard before we sat down for this podcast, I had read through everyone's personality except Jen's, and it just
The promoter's promoting herself. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
She's living within her description.
I just think back to the beginning of this whole journey and when I first met you, and how each and every one of us were like just connected to you. You know, the ones of us on the leadership that knew you before anyone else on the team, and just how that really like tied into like overly talkative and you really feel pressure to do whatever you say because you really you make everything seem so pretty, and it really is when you get into the nitty gritty, but
And now we have this beautiful team.
yes.
I'm so glad I didn't stop talking.
I love your personality type because when I read it, it was just like this happened with all of you, but with Jen, like it reminded me there when we went to the first time you and I went to a business to talk to them together.
Oh, yes.
And when we walked outside and you were talking to me, you were like, I just really see you being our administrative director, and you spoke so much life. And that's always what I've thought of with you, is that you just speak life into people, and it's just amazing.
Cool.
And
I've seen this leadership team, this ministry, give everyone life. Brittany. So when we started, I remember you being like, I hate public speaking, I'm not a speaker. We've presented in front of hospital boards. You are the spokesperson on this podcast. Your speaking skills. Madison, your delegation skills. Jamie's skills in technology. She's built a whole website. Cindy's always bringing bright new ideas and helping us build plans that are going to create structure for people. Administration, human resources. She's giving human beings resources. And Kristen's venturing forward, bringing these committees and these projects. Like, we have a full structure. This organization is crazy in that we are already pretty much built out, and now we're waiting for build it and they will come. So we've built it, we have all systems in place, and now we get to sit back in a sense and do what we love and be with moms and be with families, and our systems are in place.
Oh yeah, we sit back and
Oh yeah.
we let it all come to us. That's
So
Every day.
which is why we decided to start the podcast.
This
Why
team
we're
is always on to the next thing, but we already, before we had a fully paid staff, we had the system written out of what could look like and ready to hit go. Before we have a fully paid doulas in hospitals program, that's set up. We're not waiting for the pieces to be in place. It's there.
One thing I noticed that everyone has some aspect of is that we're all either organized, detail oriented, or both. I don't think there's any personalities on the leadership team where we're not focused on what needs to happen to get to our end goal.
Committed.
Yes, absolutely. I think some of us may see the bigger picture more easily than others, but we're all still very focused on what our next steps are, what needs to happen.
We have some people who can see the large picture, and then we have some people who break it down. So
That's
we
true.
all fit together to continue moving forward.
It really is amazing, because I've always been told that I dream too big. I see this really big picture of things, and I'm always jumping from project to project, and it's just my personality. I want to know what's coming next, and what are we going to do next, and how big can this really get? And for the first time in my life, I'm looking at these projects and going, these are reality. They're not just big dreams. It's a big dream, and the next big dream, and the next big dream, but they're all reality. And they're something that I've got the team and the friendships and the relationships now that can grow these realities, because now there are people who can look at my big dreams and say, oh yeah, but these are the steps we have to take, because I get bogged down and I'm like, I don't like these details. And I can't handle these details. And then there's where Brittany comes in.
She's so helpful.
Because Brittany hears my big idea and she's says, okay, Cindy, we need to break it down to these details. And I'm like, yeah, but think about how big this can get. And she's like, well, if we want to get it big, we have to do the small things first.
I'm like, that's awesome. We'll totally do that. Now, how do we get there?
right.
And we'll include in the show notes and even say here where you can go access this personality quiz for yourself or your own team.
The predicted
Absolutely.
index. Yeah.
I highly recommend this one.
Yeah, it's been a really good one. We've gotten a lot of great information from it. I will say that one thing totally lacking on my personality, that I came back with is my organization skills. I mean, Kristen complains about me organizing things way too much, and mine doesn't say anything about.
A spreadsheet for everything, but you're detail oriented.
I think that's your organization right there.
She literally has organized on hers. Where's mine?
You could just write it in
You're
there.
detail oriented.
I know, I'm detail oriented.
So that's the same thing.
You're so
it's
organized
not.
that your
It
detail
is.
oriented
Do you wanna
doesn't
trade?
fit in the organized
She's
box.
so detail oriented that she's getting hung up on this one detail.
So what's funny is that I spent some time this morning looking up synonyms of everybody's personality descriptions. Because I kind of wanted to know what are some other words, some other ways so we can describe these things. And detail-oriented and organized are literally
Well, then why are they interchanging them?
right there. But because you're a little bit more detail-oriented than just organized.
You're organized because you're detail oriented, whereas
makes
some
sense.
of us are detail oriented because we're organized.
right.
So
makes
they're interchangeable, but I think that one causes the other,
Yeah.
and that's why it's used
And
differently.
I can definitely see that.
And this tool is really nice because when we're building subcommittees or sub-teams, you want a detail-oriented like Brittany with a not detailed-oriented like me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or a detail-oriented like Jamie with a bigger picture visionary like Cindy.
Yeah.
It's really helpful in building your teams or structuring your teams.
It's been really good for us. It's really helped propel this forward a lot faster than
Yes.
we probably would have gone if we hadn't had such a variety. And the fact that our personalities and the way that this team works all came together divinely. I mean,
Yes,
this was
it
something
did.
that just kind of happened. None of us have any explanation. We never had met before this. I think Jamie,
Shared.
Jen, and Madison had met prior.
Just
Jamie
Jen.
was at the first meeting. I just had this call in my heart
Yeah.
to begin this, and it was crazy that the women coming out of the woodwork is I became a doula to do something like this. Or I've been looking for something like this, and honestly, I still don't have all the details or everything lined out, but it's just the call and the vision that I feel like I've responded to and said yes to. And
We gave
it's-
you the details.
Yes, you guys gave me the details. You brought the structure. I'm like, I just know that I need to promote as a promoter this what
Yeah.
I feel that I'm here to do.
You said you wanted to do Birth It Forward, and we flushed it
Yeah.
out and said, okay, this is how it's going to work. And, you know, Kristen and I don't know how many
Long
meetings
time.
we had just to flush that out.
When for a while, because we have to meet virtually because Brittany and I actually don't live very close to each other. Anytime that I answered a phone call or video call on my computer, my daughter would say, "Hi, Brittany."
Uh-huh.
Like, she wouldn't even look; she just assumed that Brittany
Yeah.
was on the other side.
And now the Birth It Forward program is a huge pull for our community clients. So with us, if you hire a doula with KCWM, you're also paying for a mom's birth that is in need that can't afford a doula.
Mhm.
And that also means that the doulas get dignified paid for their work too.
Yes.
It's really cool.
Mhm.
Everyone's served in the process.
Which is such a big deal to us to make sure that the families that have chosen to support others through this work are being supported as well. So many times doulas burn out in their career because they don't have the support of other people. They're not getting paid what they're worth. And that's a big deal to us to make sure that our doulas are supported, that our doulas are paid, and that
To provide a business structure for this life's work, this soul's calling that so many
Yes.
women have. And this work in this field that does not have the systems that it needs to be successful for women, because women need this.
women need this. Women had this. And then
They just weren't officially called doulas.
right. Well,
You
I
know,
mean,
they just,
if you look back in history, this is something that women have had for generations and generations, and it's really only the last few that this has been taken away. And now we have
And
women
it's not
who
working out.
No,
It's not an experiment gone well.
no.
No.
If you take a woman out of her ideal birthing environment, still provide her with the support to help mitigate that consequence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her support network is totally taken away now. I mean, we're looking
Especially with COVID.
with COVID, yeah. I mean, with COVID, you're barely allowed even one support person, and that
If you're
person
lucky.
can't care for themselves
But
by leaving
doulas
and
have
getting
made
food.
their way
and-
back in.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
So as doulas, how do you guys see your personalities in your birth work?
Ooh.
Ooh.
A lot.
So each of us, we're such different people. We've all got such different personalities.
my helpful nature really comes out
Yeah.
in those. I'm still that detail oriented of I can pinpoint what's going on with that mom and identify how to help her. Or just the pregnant person, whoever's having their baby. But I can really identify that and say, okay, this person clearly is having some issues with their lower back. What can I do? Okay, I've got this, and this in my head that I can, let's try this one. Nope, let's try this one. Nope, let's try this one. That's it.
Yeah. And for my promoter nature, I will have that mom so coached up mentally, in truth, in reality of what her body is created to do and can do, that she feels strong mentally before any compromise of physical pain or pressure starts to challenge her. And then collaborative is one of my strengths, and collaboration with the medical team.
You're really good at that, for sure.
Yeah.
Helping get that birthing person in the correct headspace
Yeah.
really is what it's about.
Well, the mind gives birth. So
Yeah. We're
Working
going to
on
have a
that
podcast
first.
on that here
Yes.
before too long. That
Stay
is on my
tuned.
list. Yeah.
Mind gives birth.
Yeah.
What
What
about
about
you,
you,
Madison?
Madison?
So my little paragraph literally says, I get a sense of satisfaction from being supportive. And I truly feel that, like, in my personal life, in my business, as a doula, knowing that I've helped someone in any capacity is really important to me. So that's a big drive for me, that even if I'm not doing anything, let's say my client's having trouble, and I can't find the right comfort measure, just knowing that I'm there and being supportive, and that I'm not giving up and still trying to find what's going to work, really just having that sense of support is really satisfying, and that really kind of drives to continue that support. I mean, when I have a client afterwards that says, I'm so glad that you were here, thank you for being here, we couldn't have done it without you, or anything like that, like, it just, it makes my whole world.
That lights my light up so much.
It's such an internal driver.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that every person deserves support in every capacity, and knowing from my personality that I get satisfaction from that, it makes sense.
How about you, Jamie?
So I think that my method of support goes down to the data-driven nature of myself. The biggest thing for me is making sure that these women that I'm working with have all of the information available to them to be able to make informed decisions. And it's like,
Yes.
this is all the information out there. We can figure out the pros and cons of each choice, like just helping them outline what information that's out there and how it's going to affect them.
That's so big. I tell my clients a lot. I'm going to shoot you a lot of information over here. If it's too much, just tell me to stop.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. I truly believe that you can't make an informed decision without having the information. And that's part of that whole detail-oriented aspect of, we are very evidence-based here at KC Women's Ministry, and, finding all that evidence, or hoarding it, in my case, and putting it on the drive for all of the doulas to access, which I've done.
Yes.
It's there if anyone wants to take a look at it. As long as you're a volunteer, you should have access to it. Now, development for the doula is a membership perk, which I've also gathered all of that information for us. But that's a big aspect of that detail-oriented personality and of Jamie's personality, making sure that they have the information so they can make that informed choice.
What about you?
Are you not gonna? I thought we were going in a circle. Okay. So for me, I actually don't My personality, according to this, is I filled it out as a leader. And in my doula role, I am not a leader. So my personality is extremely different in a birth space.
You're a very good advocator.
Thank you. Possibly opposite to this, depending on the environment. So if I'm in an environment where my client is being respected and they're getting to make all of the decisions, then I very much exist to listen and watch and respond. And if they're asking me questions, which a lot of my clients are very, I think one of the reasons that they get drawn to me is because I do present myself in a very similar way to what Jamie was talking about. We're being very evidence-based, data-driven. Mm-hmm. And so they'll ask me questions and I'll say, these are your options. And then I always preface by saying, I do not want you to come, I don't want any of my bias to come through. So I am going to present these to you in a very clear, concise, and I don't want you to know which one I would personally think is better. And I like to say that every time because I never want them to start trying to gauge my preference. I want them to gauge their preference. And I use the evidence that Brittany is talking about a lot. We are a very evidence-based driven organization. If I am in a situation where that is not the case and my client is not being respected and her autonomy is not being upheld like it's supposed to be in the birth space, then my leadership personality traits come out. And I'm good at exerting a kind of, I don't need to actually physically or even verbally put myself in the path of saying, my client doesn't want that, don't do that. I can do it with just like my face and just like an aura that I put off where I'm just like, that's unacceptable. And I will actually can just stand next to the bed, and if somebody is doing something that they're not supposed to, it's actually really funny. I can see them feel me. Like, oh. Nope. She's there. But I have not said anything. And so that's, I would say that it depends on the environment that I'm in. Thankfully, for the most part, I get to just observe and react and support as I can. And give information. I haven't had to advocate very often. But if we're talking about, like, how does my personality test show up in my doula work, I would say that for the most part, it's only when I am needing to advocate, and a leadership role is kind of coming up that it does. Because a lot of this is very leader-oriented parts of their personality.
What about you, Cindy?
So one of the big ones of mine is opportunities to work with facts, and I'm very analytical. I do have a very hard time separating sometimes. I think my facial expressions tend to give me away.
Read her like a book.
So I have actually caught myself trying to look away when I'm talking to people about their birth and if they tell me they're not doing the research. I am not a research person to the extent that some of you guys are, where I like to skim my articles. I don't, go into the details of them. I'll skim them, I'll get the facts that I need, and I keep on moving. But I also want to make sure that when I'm presenting those to people, I'm giving them the right facts. So I will frequently be like, hey, I need someone to tell me, I read this, but I need to verify it really quickly. And
oh, yeah, and that's a great thing to do anyway.
It is. It's one of the great things about us having these teams.
Yeah, I verify with my birth team all the time.
All the time.
I do also tend to be pretty flexible. It's one of my common drivers. The great thing about this whole test is that it gives you your strengths, your drivers, and your blind spots. Flexibility is one of my drivers. There's not a whole lot that can rock me, so I kind of just keep going with the flow.
And the mom feels supportive in that, and her choices are.
So it's very, whatever you need to do, we're gonna do it, and it's great that that's what you've decided to do. And but it is hard for me when I'm giving the facts and I don't agree with something that's being done. It is very hard for me to hide that. So I work hard to kind of keep that.
But it's also in your
Side me
strengths,
down.
though. Like if
It is.
a mom's not presented with the best information for her decision, she'll know that coming from her support in you.
Yeah. So I am.
Well, this has been fun. To
Yeah, it
dive
has.
in deep
And it's really important when you're getting clients, like we're just, even just in our own selves, of the diversity of just how we treat our clients. But that comes out in the clients that pick us. So a lot of times, you can have consultations with somebody who says that they want to hire you for a doula, and you say, honestly, I don't think that this would work very well. Like, we're in a very close environment, but I know this other doula who also works with KCWM that would work with you perfectly. And so the clients, everybody in the world is extremely diverse, and there's going to be people that I work really, really well with. And there's going to be people that I don't necessarily work really, really well with. And I think that that's one of the amazing things about our team and leadership, but also in our doula lives, is that we have an extreme diversity to be able to present to the extreme diversity of the world of our clients. Yeah, we definitely have somebody for just about everyone.
Yeah. And when you start getting into our volunteers and our other leaderships, personalities, I mean, it really is amazing how many different personalities we have. We really can fill just about any need.
Yep. Then and backgrounds that people come from, and family types, and there's just all different kinds of preferences and jives that we really get really well, which I really, really appreciate. And it's really great for my personal growth to not be surrounded by people that are exactly the same as me. You learn to see things from different perspectives when you're around people of different minds.
It's amazing how many times we'll be having conversations in this group, and one of us will present something in a totally different way than the rest of us have thought about it. And it's not because we've done any more research or we know anything more, it's just because we think differently, and we're able to approach something from a different angle that the others couldn't see it from.
The exact same word will provoke an incredibly different response.
Yes.
We do a lot of team building activities. We get together and do, like, this is a marketing based team building activity, or this is just literally just the team building activity. And a lot of those are built off of, this word makes me think of this, or, this is the marketing word, and then we go off of it and build like a chart. And then you'll look at the charts and be like, these are not the same. And some of us, they'll be like, okay, these are similar, but there's some of them where we'll start to talk like, so when you said that, I actually thought a completely different direction from everyone else, and it makes complete sense from that perspective.
Yeah, we had a few of those.
Yeah.
we have several.
Quite a few.
Yeah. Every meeting, I think we have something where one of us thinks totally different than what the rest of us are in tune on. And it's always for the better.
Yeah, in an incredibly valid and growing way for the rest of us, where we say, oh, that makes complete sense, and then it's applicable.
Absolutely.
Wow. This was such a great conversation, guys. I mean, the predictive index, it's given us so much more insight on how we work together and who we are. I know we keep talking about the index, but that's what the talk is about today.
And what's the website that our listeners can check it out?
I don't know the website. It's
We'll
the
put it
predictive index.
We'll
It'll
put it in
be-
the show notes.
Yeah, it'll be down in the description for you guys if you want to take a look at it. I'm sure they will definitely appreciate us plugging them.
Yes.
and going from there.
Just
But
give him a call back. He keeps calling me. Might as well. When we go listen to our podcast, you'll see how we're using it. Thank you.
Thank you. All information there.
yeah. So, what do we have coming this month? We've got, is it the business meeting this month, or is it an enrichment this month?
This month is an enrichment. Jamie, take it away.
Right, Jamie.
Yes, the enrichment is Websites and Disabilities, building an inclusive and accessible website for your business. I'm going to be talking about both inclusive design and accessibility on the web. And they're two different things, but I want you to come away with it knowing that there is no such thing as the typical user on the web, and that you need to be designing with a much broader view. And what to think about the specifics of like the specific design elements that you can utilize to make your website accessible to more people, because you do not want to be excluding a large portion of the population from accessing the information that you're providing on the web.
Absolutely.
Yes, and pretty much all of our members, volunteers, directors, leaders have their own businesses, and if you have your own business, you probably have your own website. And if you have your own website, then it needs to be inclusive and accessible, accessible to those who wish to access it.
Yeah.
So that, I'm really excited to learn about that. We're all incredibly proud of our website. Jamie does amazing work for us.
Yes. KCWM.org.
KC Women's Ministry.
You got this. Yeah,
You get the picture.
We are actually completely booked out for the rest of 2020. All of our enrichments are officially taken, scheduled, and it is amazing because it is definitely at the beginning of the year. So,
Yes, it is.
already,
February.
if you would like to speak, we would love to hear from you and start getting those 2022 dates filled out, because I'm still hearing from people who would like to talk, and it's fantastic, and I love it. So
I love it.
keep sending in those applications. I love getting them.
So we do have a few other events throughout the month. Do we have a pop-up sale this month?
Not in March.
Not in March? Okay. So we do have doula date night the last Wednesday of the month. We would love for you to come and meet our doulas if you're interested in having a doula at your labor, delivery, postpartum. And then, is that our last?
And if you want to get to know
Jen,
us.
yes, you have your nail party this month.
Yes, so on March 20th, we will be at Paint Nail Bar in South Kansas City. And if you mention you are there for KC Women's Ministry, it will support and benefit us greatly.
Yes. So,
Book club on the 7th. Everybody come to my book club.
yep, book
It's
club
the
on
place
the 7th.
to be. We get coffee and talk birth.
I'll be there.
Yeah, you will.
I will. I promise. And I'll have the reading done too.
An upcoming podcast, maybe?
I'm planning on going to.
Yay! Yes. And y'all, if you don't get the reading done, you should still come, because a lot of the questions, I write them specifically that you don't have to have done the reading in order to participate in the discussion, because some of us just don't have the time to really get into reading, but we're growing through these conversations. So I have done the reading. I'll know Jamie has done the reading. A couple of our other attendees pretty regularly get the reading done. And if you don't get it done, that doesn't mean that you can't come, because we love the participation.
You're
Right.
encouraged to come even if you don't do the reading, because you know that you won't be the only one that didn't do the reading, because I probably won't do the reading. even though I was the one that picked the book. But
you
it's fine.
did pick the book.
It's a big book.
It's a big book. It's
It's
an
a big
easy
book.
book to read, and each chapter, it's easy to read the chapters without having read the chapter before. So if you're interested in joining, like, just in the middle, it's really easy. You can pick up on chapters 9, 10, whatever chapter we're on.
Yep.
We do 3 at a
You
time.
don't know what
because they're
chapter
short.
we're on. That's fantastic. Okay.
We've missed 2 months. We haven't met since November.
Love football. It's the best.
I'm sorry.
To cancel for Super Bowl Sunday, but it's totally fine. Yes. And if you want to join that and get involved with book club, we have a Facebook page. It's just KCWM Book Club.
So we have lots of podcasts coming up. We were actually doing a big recording tomorrow for all of the shows for March. So that it's going to be amazing, guys. I mean, it's awesome. We have a lot of great topics coming. We've got some breastfeeding topics for Boob Talk. We've got some birth topics for Birthopolis. We have, we've got postpartum topics with Baby Love, and we've got Doulaverse. So all things about how you can be a doula, and what what kinds of things do we carry in our bags, all that kind of fun stuff. So we have lots coming up. New podcasts come out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Actually, the Thursdays are go lives, and then Kristen also does a go live on Mondays. So we've got lots of videos.
Opportunities for you to be involved.
Yes, lots.
Thank you for listening today.
Yes, thank you for hanging out with us and staying to the end if you are still here. We hope you've really enjoyed coming to our roundtable and hanging out with us. So we'd love to hear questions that you have about the predictive index or just about how we run leadership, how we run the ministry, and how we come up with all of our amazing ideas and make them happen. You can submit your questions so that they're answered on future episodes by going to Bumpaholics Podcast on Patreon. And you can also support us through Patreon by joining the group. And we have packages that are as low as $1 a month that help to support every birth that we support. So,
All right. Or
thank
check
you.
us out at kcwomensministry.org.
Yes. Good job.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you for hanging out with us. We loved having you here. Don't forget to hit that like button because you know we deserve it. Leave a comment to let us know why. Your participation and constructive feedback helps us grow and shapes our community that you can be a part of. Be sure to follow us on all of our socials so you can stay in the loop for upcoming videos, live events, fundraisers, and Patreon goodies. Goodbye for now. We'll see you soon.